Hello guys, welcome back to my another After Effects tutorial. In this After Effects tutorial, we are going to create this. Here you can see, I have imported the files required for this project. You can download them from the link given in the description. Now let's start with creating our first composition. Here I will name it as logo. For this logo reveal, time duration will be 7 seconds. Perfect. For this logo composition, from the project panel, let's add the logo image file to the timeline. Let's scale this image file. Perfect. Now let's create another composition. Name it as logo map. Now for this composition, add a logo composition to the timeline. Now in Effects and Preset, search for tint. Add it to the logo composition. Change the map white color as shown. Perfect. In Effects and Preset, search for Find Edges, add it to the logo composition. Change Blend with Original to 80%. In Effects and Preset, search for Fast Box Blur. Add it to the logo composition. Set blur radius to 1. Set iteration to 1. Perfect. Now let's create a new composition. Name it as Logo Light 1. From Project Panel, add the logo map composition to the timeline. Now hide the logo map composition. Now add the logo composition to the timeline. For logo composition, in Effects and Preset, search for CC Glass. Add it to logo composition. For CC Glass, in Surface, change Bump Map to Logo Map. Change Softness to 6.5. Change Height to -9. Change Displacement to -200. Now in Shading, change Ambient to 0, Diffuse to 0, Specular to 100, Roughness to 0.01, Metal to 0. Now in Light, at start of the timeline, create keyframe for light intensity. Change intensity to 0. Add 1 second and 15 frames. Change intensity to 100. Press U to view created keyframes. Add 3 seconds and 15 frames. Create keyframe for light intensity. Now at end of the timeline, change intensity to 0. Select created keyframes, change keyframe assistant to Easy Ease. Now slightly adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now change light type to point light. Now at start, create keyframe for light position. Change light position value as shown. Now at near about 6 seconds. Change light position as shown. You can see the preview. Perfect. Now in the project panel, we will create duplicate of this logo light composition. Press Ctrl+D to create duplicate. Now open the light logo composition. For logo composition, we will make few changes. Press U to view keyframes. For second keyframe, we will change intensity to 60. For third keyframe, change intensity to 60. Now we will change the light position. For first keyframe, change position as shown. Now for second keyframe, change position as shown. You can see the preview. Perfect. Now let's create a new composition. Here I will name it as Logo Stroke 1. Here we need to add the logo composition to the timeline. For this logo composition, in Effects and Preset, search for Vegas. Add it to Logo Composition. In Image Contours, change Input Layer to Logo. Change the channels to Alpha. Change Threshold to 150. Here we will change Pre-Blur to 12.5. Now in Segments, change Segment to 1. Now at start of the timeline, create keyframe for length. Change length to 0. Go up 2 seconds. Change length to 0.3. Now at 6 seconds. Change length to 0.1. For logo, press U to view keyframes, select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to Easy Ease. Now adjust the speed graph as shown. Now press Alt key and click on stopwatch of rotation. Here enter an expression, time into 25. Now in rendering, change blend mode to transparent. You can see the preview. Here I will change the outline color. Change start opacity to 0. Change midpoint opacity to 1. Now for logo composition, press T to bring up opacity, at 4 seconds and 15 frames, create keyframe for opacity. At 6 seconds, change opacity to 0. You can see the preview. Now select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to Easy Ease. Perfect. Now in project panel, we will create duplicate of this logo stroke 1 composition. Press Ctrl+D to create duplicate. Now open stroke 2 composition. For this logo composition, we will make few changes. In image contour, change threshold to 120. Pre-blur to 0. Now press U to view keyframes. Here we will change mid keyframe length value to 0.5. Here we will change the rotation expression. You can see the preview. Perfect. Select random phase. Set random seed to 35. Change stroke width to 3. Perfect. Now let's create another composition, name it as Fire Edge Logo. For this composition, we will add logo composition to the timeline. Now add the pre-rendered edge map video to timeline. For logo, change track matte to Luma matte edge map. You can see the preview. Now let's create another composition. Name it as Fire Logo. For this composition, we will add logo composition to the timeline. Now add the pre-rendered Fire map video to timeline. For logo, change track matte to Luma matte Fire map. You can see the preview. Perfect, here all the required compositions are created. Now let's create our final composition, in which we will bring all the created compositions together in single composition. Here I will name this composition as Logo Animation. Let's close all the remaining compositions. For this logo animation composition, we need to create a new solid layer. This will be our background layer. For the background layer, in Effects and Preset, search for Gradient Tram, add it to the solid layer. Here you can set any color of your choice for background. Perfect. Now from Project Panel, add the Logo Light 1 composition to the timeline. For this composition, in Effects and Preset, search for Tint. Add it to the Logo Light composition. Change map white color as shown. Perfect. Now in Effects and Preset, search for Glow, add it to the composition. Here we need to change Glow Threshold to 10%. Glow Intensity to 0.1. Perfect. Now let's again add glow. Here set Glow Threshold to 10%. Glow Radius to 250. Glow Intensity to 0.1. Now in Effects and Preset, search for Exposure. Add it to the composition. Here we will set exposure to 3. Now for Logo Light composition, change mode to add. Now from Project Panel, add the Logo Light 2 composition to the timeline. Change mode to add. From Light Logo 1 composition, we will copy these applied effects. Now paste it on Light Logo 2 composition. Let's place this second composition at 15 frames. Now from Project Panel, add the Logo Stroke 1 composition to the timeline. Change mode to add. Now paste the copied effects to this composition. Here we will remove this tint effect. Here we will set exposure to 1. Let's place this composition at 5 frames. Now create duplicate of this composition. In Effects and Preset, search for CC Radial Blur. Add it to the composition. Here we will change type to Fading Zoom. Set amount to 140. Place it above the exposure. Now change exposure to 4. Now from Project Panel, add the logo Stroke 2 composition to the timeline. Change mode to Add. Now paste the copied effect to this composition. Let's remove this tint effect. Now for this exposure. Set exposure to 1. Now from Project Panel, add the fire logo composition to the timeline. Change mode to Add. Now paste the copied effect to this composition. Here we will set exposure to 2. Set gamma correction to 0.7. For fire logo, press T to bring up the opacity. Now press Alt key and click on the stopwatch of opacity. Enter an expression, value plus wiggle 5, 15. This will create wiggle effect for fire. Now from Project Panel, add the Fire Edge logo composition to the timeline. Change mode to Add. Now paste the copied effect to the composition. Now in Effects and Preset, search for Rough Edges. Add it to the logo composition. Change edge type to Spiky. Change border to 2. Change edge sharpness to 0.2. Change scale to 25. Change complexity to 6. Press Alt key and click on stopwatch of evolution. Enter expression, time into 200. Place this above exposure. For tint, let's change the color. Perfect. Now create a new solid layer. Name it as Particles. Now in Effects and Preset, search for CC Particle System. Add it to the solid layer. Now at 15 frames. Create keyframe for birth rate. Set it to 0. Now at 1 second. Change birth rate to 3. Press U to view keyframes. Now at near about 1 second and 25 frames. Create keyframe for birth rate. Now at 4 seconds, change birth rate to 0. For particles, set longevity to 1. Now in producers, set position to 580. Here increase radius X to near about 25. Increase radius Y to near about 25. In physics, change animation to fire. Change velocity to 0.1. Inherit velocity to 0.2. Gravity to 0.8. Resistance to 7. Change direction to 280 degrees. Change extra to 0.5. Now in particles. Change type to shaded sphere. Change birth size to 0.05. Change depth size to 0. Opacity map to fade in and out. To view this layer individually, click here. You can now only preview the particles layer. Let's change the birth and death color. Set random seed to 240. Change transfer mode to add. Now in effects and preset, search for exposure. Add it to the particle layer. Set exposure to 2. Now search for turbulent display. Add it to the particles layer. Set amount to 20. Set size to 150. For particle layer, change mode to add. Perfect. From project panel, add the logo composition to the timeline. For particle layer, change track matte to alpha matte logo. You can see the particles are only visible in logo area. For logo composition, in effects and preset, search for fastbox blur. Add it to the logo composition. Change blur radius to 15. Now again add box blur, change blur dimension to vertical. Blur radius to 80. Perfect. Now in effects and preset, search for curves. Add it to the logo layer. Adjust the RGB curve and alpha curve as shown. Perfect. Now again add a logo composition to the timeline. Press T to bring up the opacity. Add 1 second, create keyframe for opacity. Now at start, change opacity to 0. Perfect. Now we will place this composition at 5 seconds. Now change all the layer to 3D, except background and particles. Now create a new camera layer. Now create null object. Change null to 3D, now parent camera to null object. For null, press P to bring up position. Now at start, create keyframe for position. Here I will set position value to -800. Now at end of the timeline, set position value to 30. Now select keyframes. Change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now press R to bring up rotation. At 5 seconds. Create keyframe for Z rotation. At start of the timeline. Change rotation to 12 degrees. Select keyframes. Change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now create a new adjustment layer. In effects and preset, search for camera lens blur. Add it to the adjustment layer. At 2 seconds. Create keyframe for blur radius, set blur radius to 0. Now at 5 frames. Change blur radius to 25. Select keyframes, change keyframe assistant to easy ease. Adjust the speed graph as shown. Perfect. Now again create a new adjustment layer. In effects and preset, search for curves. Add it to the adjustment layer. Now slightly adjust the curves as shown. In effects and preset, search for exposure. Add it to the adjustment layer. Set exposure to 0.8. Perfect. Now let's see the preview. Perfect, here our glossy Fire logo reveal is created. Thank you guys for watching this tutorial.